how's it going? And happy holidays. My name's Chef Lexia, and I'm one of the chefs that cooks with sticky fingers. And Hi everyone. My name's Chef Lexia, and I'm so glad that people can join me today to make a delicious stocking stuffer. So today we're going to do mason jar cookie mix, but they're going to be stocking stuffers. My name's Chef Lexi, and I've been cooking with sticky fingers for quite a while, and I love doing Facebook Lives just to reach out to all of you, and then that way you can make quick little things at home. So today the recipe is going to be very short, but it's going to be a great gift idea and things like that. So the first thing that we want to do is get our container for what we're going to put our cookie dough mix into. So we're just making the dry portion, and then the rest will be done at home. So this is why it's great for a stocking stuffer, because it doesn't have the liquid ingredients, so they last way longer. So the first thing we're going to need a jar. And then I've already pre-done this, but we want to glue buttons. You can use super glue or hot glue. If we use hot glue, make sure we're very careful with our fingers. That way we don't accidentally get the hot glue on our fingers because it's going to burn, okay? So we want to be super careful with the hot glue if we use that. And we're going to glue stickers down the bottom of this jar. I'm curious if anyone has any guesses of what we're going to make or how we're going to decorate this jar. So this is the first step, getting a mason jar that has a good lid. And then we're going to do 3 buttons down the front of it. It can be any buttons that you have around the house, if they pop off your jackets, shirts, things like that. I know I have a ton of that happening, especially when I'm moving and things. Sometimes buttons break. So if you have those left over at home, they can be any size, any colors, any shapes. The more different they are, the more unique your present's going to be. So 3 buttons go down the front of our jar. The next thing we're going to want to do, I have this nice red ribbon to be nice and festive, and I'm going to put the recipe card on this. So the fun thing about this recipe card, it has the ingredients both dry, which we're going to add into our jar here in a second, and then it also has the at-home ingredients, so the wet ingredients that we're going to need to use at home to make the cookies actually cookies and to be able to bake them. So I'm going to string this ribbon through, and we are going to tie this on to our jar. That way, when we give it as a gift or if it's in someone's stocking, they have all the information that they need in order to create this yummy cookie recipe at home. So just tying it here, I'll do a nice bow. And then the next thing we want, I have this red ribbon. I'm still going to think people are trying to guess what we're decorating this jar as, but we're going to put the red ribbon, that way it can go right next to the buttons. Right here. So if you guys haven't guessed yet, our jar is supposed to look like a snowman. So some people call him Frosty. Frosty the Snowman, one of my favorite movies to watch during the holidays. He had a nice red scarf on as he was playing with the kids and running around. So we're going to add our scarf to our jar. That way it keeps the cookie nice and warm. Perfect. And then the final thing that we'll need for our jar and our snowman creation, or mason jar, here is a little top hat. So it's painted black to look like a little top hat, just like Frosty wears in the show. Okay, so now that we have the container for our cookie recipe or cooking stocking stuffers, we want to start adding things into it, right? So the first thing we're going to do, we need a big bowl. We're going to add a few things to this. So one of the first ingredients, and like I said, it's also going to be printed on that card that we have with our stocking stuffers, so it's perfect just in case you want to make a second batch. We want to add 1.5 cups of flour. So I have my measuring cup, and we're going to do 1.5 cups of flour here, and it's going to go into a big bowl. So it's important that when we're measuring out dry ingredients, we use a measuring cup that looks something like this. There's another measuring cup, and that's typically for liquids. That's a graduated measuring cup. But for this one, we want to use a dry cup scoop, and we're doing 1.5 cups of flour. It's also important when we're measuring dry ingredients to have a flat or straight edge in order to level off the measurements. So here's 1 cup, and I want to do another 1/3 of a cup of flour. So I have my 1/3 of a cup of scoop right here. And same thing, I'm going to use a flat, straight edge to scoop off. I like to scoop it right over the bag. That way I don't waste any of the flour. And it's also a lot easier when it's time to clean up. Okay, so using a flat edge or a straight edge in order to scoop the extra bumpy part of the flour back into the bag. That way we have plenty of flour to make more cookies, especially during the holiday season. So far I have 1 1/3 cups of flour. The next thing I want to add is half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we want to make sure when we're measuring salt, I do not like doing it over the bowl just in case the salt comes out really fast because a lot of times we have these huge salt containers. So we want to be super careful as we pour it in, but we only want half a teaspoon. So sometimes I do it over my sink just in case there is a mess. That way, less of a cleanup. Okay, so half of a teaspoon of salt is going in with our flour. And then the next thing is we want to add 1 teaspoon. So teaspoons are the smaller one, tablespoons are the bigger one. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, okay? Baking powder, not baking soda. This is going to help our cookies have that cookie chewy consistency, okay? So a nice thing, this already has a flat edge, so making sure we scrape so it's a level 1 teaspoon. That's going to go into the flour and salt mixture as well. Once I have those 3 things in this bowl, I'm going to either grab a fork or a whisk and whisk all these ingredients together. That way they're distributed evenly throughout. Okay, so mix, 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 mix. Ooh, good, good, good. Okay, now that we have that, we can start assembling our cookie ingredients into our pre-decorated mason jar. So the first thing that we want to add into our jar is our rolled oats, or the oatmeal. We want to do 1 1/3 cup of oats in there. Okay, so I'm going to take my oatmeal, carefully getting it into my mason jar. Pouring it in little at a time, that way we don't waste any of the oatmeal, and that way we have the right measurements. I pre-measured mine before this, but we want to make sure we have 1 1/3 cup of oatmeal in our mason jar. So I know I said this could be a great stocking stuffer, but another thing that could be an amazing idea for a gift, something that I think I would really enjoy, and I think I might even use to get my cousins, family members, coworkers, things like that gifts, is one of our electronic gift cards, or gift cards in general for sticky fingers. So a great thing to know about sticky fingers gift cards, 1, you don't have to worry about shipping, so it's going to arrive immediately because it's going to be virtually or an e-gift card. And another thing, it can be used for almost all of our programs. So in-person classes, in-person camps, we have all our online classes that they can be used for. You can do it for private events and birthday parties. So it's a really great idea if you need a last-minute gift, or we still have tons of time until Christmas or until kind of the gift-giving season. There's plenty of time to get our online gift cards. That can be found at the Sticky Fingers website, and it also has more information about the different classes we offer as well. Okay, so now that I have all my oatmeal in this jar, the next thing I'm going to add is that pre-mixed flour mixture that we had. So it had that flour, that baking powder, and then it also had salt. Okay, so we're going to start piling that in on top of our oats, making sure it's in a pretty even line. So carefully getting that in. I'm using something smaller, that way it doesn't get all over the place and I'm not wasting any of that flour mixture, because it's really important that we have even and equal measurements to make cookies. Baking sometimes can be like a science, right? We want to make sure we have everything perfect in order to come out to the right consistency and things like that. So I'm pouring my flour mixture on top of the oats, just like so. And this time, in order to make sure everything's flat and even layers, I'm going to use a spatula. You can also use a spoon. If your potato masher is small enough to fit into the top of the mason jar, if you have a fork, anything like that, we just want something that we can use to press down our flour into an even line in our jar. There we go. So here is my spatula. And I'm just going to press down. That way I have plenty of room to add the next few ingredients that we have to add. So going around in a circle, kind of pressing down slightly. That way we kind of get rid of the air pockets, but also so we have plenty of space to add in the sugar and the chocolate as well. Okay, so far we have our oats and we have our flour mixture, okay? Everything's in a nice even line, so 1 level, 2 level. The next thing that we want to add is brown sugar. For the brown sugar, we want to make sure it's packed. Okay, so when we're filling up our half cup measure, we want to make sure that we press it down nice and firm into there. So if I scoop it, you can even use your fingers, a little sticky, making sure we press all the way down so it's a full half a cup of brown sugar that we're putting into the jar. So once I have that, I'm going to put that into the jar as well, making sure it all goes in. And again, I'm going to use that spatula to get a nice even layer. That way we have room for the last 2 ingredients that we're going to add. A little bit spilled out. So using that spatula again, pressing down, making plenty of room for the white sugar, and then also the chocolate chips to go on top, which are my personal favorite. So pressing down nice and firm. There we go, like so. And then the next thing we're going to add is our white sugar into this bowl as well. So being super careful, and we want to add half of a cup of white sugar. So we had half of a cup of brown sugar, and now we're doing half of a cup of white sugar. The brown sugar is going to give those cookies that golden brown color, especially when they're baking. And then sugar just makes the cookies extra sweet. So slowly, carefully pouring these into the jar. I'm going to go little by little, that way I make less of a mess. And I'm going to use the spatula one more time to press everything down, because we still need to fit one more thing into our jar. So see, it's pretty full right now. I'm going to press it down one more time, making these beautiful layers. Pressing. And if the spatula is a little bit too big to fit into your jar, if you don't have that much space in it, you can use a spoon, a fork, one of the measuring things. I've also used like the bottom of my measuring cup to press down as well to get it nice and flat. That way we have plenty of room to fit all of our ingredients. Okay. And then the final thing that we want to add into our jar to complete our mason jar cooking mix for our stocking stuffers is chocolate chips. You can use chocolate chips, chocolate chunks, things like that. We want 3/4 of a cup of chocolate to go on top. So mine's pre-measured. Gonna put it on the top layer, making sure it doesn't overflow because we still have to add our lid. So pressing down as we push. So I'm placing it in, putting a little bit of pressure on the top of the chocolate chips. That way it goes all the way down, sinks in there. Perfect. And then the last thing we're going to add is that top hat that I talked about in the beginning. So just the black top of here. So I'm going to remove the scarf just so I have space to screw on the top hat. And then I'll tie the scarf back on so we can get the full picture of it. Making sure it's screwed on nice and tight. That way, one, the ingredients last longer, and two, that way it doesn't accidentally spill while it's in people's stockings. Okay. Putting back on the scarf because it's a little chilly. Getting colder and colder each day. Don't know how to feel about that. Love the snow and I love winter time, but not always a fan of being super cold. Okay. Here's the scarf. There it is. Perfect. So here is a great stocking stuffer to use. We have the recipe on the stocking stuffer as well. That way, if you give it as a gift, they have all the ingredients that are in here, just in case there's allergies or people need to be aware of what's going on or what they're about to eat. And then also they have the at-home or wet ingredients that they're going to need to add on their own. So it also has instructions on how long to bake, when to mix, what part to do when. But this is the beautiful layers. Look at all those layers that we have with the cute 3 buttons and the scarf. Like I said, another thing, if the stocking stuffer, you want to add something extra, we do have those gift cards, and again, that can be located on our website for Sticky Fingers Cooking. That's a great place to check it out. I, again, love to spend time with everyone here on this virtual platform. I know it's not always the same as in person, but it's great to really reach out and connect with people. And I also want to emphasize how many great classes and opportunities we do have for learning and cooking. Sticky Fingers has created over 800 different recipes, and we have quite a few different cookbooks also available for purchase. So if you also want to try some new ingredients, new recipes, one of my favorite cookbooks that we actually have right now is kind of a global one. So it has recipes coming from all around the world, and I really find it super rewarding to try new things. I think Sticky Fingers does a great job of introducing new flavors and ingredients. We always have a special ingredient, so I think it's something that would be beneficial for everyone, for family to take, siblings to take, and like I said, great gifts for employees, coworkers, things like that. I'm so happy that I got to spend time with everyone. I wish I could spend more time and get to know everyone who's here, but if you have questions, there's plenty of information on our website, and feel free to reach out via email and things like that. I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and make sure you stay tuned or tune in for the next Facebook Live. We're doing gingerbread. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye!